What's up, you guys? Teller checking in for UFC 302. As promised, we're diving in to the entirety of the card as far as prop bets go, specific method of victory and all that. Now, we already previewed the main card, but there's been a lot of new lines that have opened up over at BETUS and whatnot. And don't forget, we are powered by BETUS. Guys, sign up through the link in the description of this video. Get a 125% match on your first 3 deposits. All right, guys. So we're going to be starting at the bottom of this card. And, you know, there's a fighter that I want to talk a little bit about. There's a highlighted fighter I want to talk about for this card. Been diving into some fighter interviews and whatnot. And I want to talk a little bit about Bassil Hafez, which, if you guys remember, as we did the full prediction video for this card, I've been very high on what I've been seeing from him. I've been seeing a lot of fighters coming out and really praising some of the work that Hafez has been doing in the gym. Kamaru Usman has been warning people to take note of what Bassil Hafez is about to do in the near future. And I think that maybe part of the reason why people kind of overlooked him at first is his record, which is not the most polished record. He's 8-4-1. But just note, first and foremost, the Jack Della Maddalena loss, taking that fight on short notice. You guys already know what I think about that. That was ridiculous, the way he was able to push in that fight against a high caliber fighter in JDM and almost arguably win that fight. Knocked out Evan Cutts before that, which that was a fight that was for the FFC welterweight championship. And that was a redemption fight because he did have a split decision loss in a 5-round fight with Evan Cutts before that, and a lot of people thought he should have won that fight. I mean, I really do believe this dude Hafez is going to be a problem in this division. Went to a draw with Jeremiah Wells back in the day, but I mean, right now, he is a very refined version of himself at 32 years old. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt, has wrestling, has some of the craziest cardio in the game. His striking's coming around, and I think that he's going to maul Mickey Gall. Nice little rhyme to that there, which is why I want to talk about this fight right off the rip. If you go over to BETUS right now, the under is actually trending the opposite way. You can go under 2.5 rounds and catch it at -115 right now. You might want to lock that in right now, or you wait a little bit and see if that line gets even better. But I would caution you because it may come back the other way. I don't think that Mickey Gall is going to be able to survive this fight here with Bassil Hafez. Hafez showed to have ridiculous cardio in that fight he took on short notice. I just saw an interview with him as well, and he's talking about that. Talking about the fact that he's in way better shape right now than he was for that fight against JDM, which is a scary thought. He presses the action, and I just think that Gall is going to get broken down. He's coming off that first round knockout loss against Mikey Mallet. I was cage side for that, saw that. All in all, I know that Gall has been a fighter that has been decently durable, even though you have to note he was finished by a weathered Diego Sanchez, maybe not old, but a weathered ancient form of Diego Sanchez, which was not a good look. Those were the 2 losses that you could note for Mickey, but I just don't think that Mickey's going to hold up here. So take a look at the under there on BETUS and keep an eye on Bassil Hafez to be a problem in the welterweight division moving forward. Do not let the 8-4 record deter you from really realizing that this is a fighter that's going to be a problem for some time to come. The JDM fight that he had was a very realistic showcase of the potential that he has in this division. So tip of the hat to Bassil out there. Let's do a little pit stop at the rematch of Niko Price and Alex Morono. 2 fighters nearing their mid-30s right now. If you remember how the fight took place the first time around, Niko Price was able to get a knockout on Alex Morono. What a shame it doesn't actually confirm that here on his resume as an official win. It says not confirmed because he eventually had that win overturned due to a failed marijuana test, which is ridiculous. But do note, he knocked out Alex Morono. I believe it was in the 2nd round there. Now, here's the thing. I'm actually not going the same route for this fight. Actually, if you remember, before Niko Price found that knockout, this is worth noting as well, Alex Morono was the fighter having success before eventually getting tagged with a shot there. But so much has changed since the last time these 2 men squared off. I remember at the time I was very high in the potential that Niko had. He was out there finishing dudes left and right. Just had defeated Brandon Thatch. Before that, he submitted him in the 1st round. If you guys don't remember Brandon Thatch was a fighter that was very, very highly praised. He was a top prospect at that time, so that was a huge victory. Okay, but since that first fight, and we're going to scroll up to what's been going on as of recently. I mean, well, we can go back even to 2018, 2019. Nico Price gets knocked out against Abdul Razak Al-Hassan. He gets knocked out against Jeff Neal. He gets knocked out against Vicente Luque. Just got knocked out against Phil Rowe. I was cage side for that fight as well, and I was truly cage side. I told you guys the story about that one. Phil Rowe's boy was right next to me. He was over there talking in between rounds. It was kind of cool. Phil Rowe was looking right there. And then after he got knocked out by Phil Rowe, where he was broken down in the third round, early in the third round. Then he gets knocked out by Robbie Lawler in the first round within 39 seconds. Not a good look for you, bub. All right, so Nico Price, 34 years old now. Not only is he potentially live to get his own knockout in this fight against Morono, who we've seen Morono knocked out a few times. Santiago Ponzinibbio just knocked him out in the third round. A little bit of a comeback, Hail Mary comeback knockout there as Morono was up. Nico Price knocked him out once before. I think there's a very likely scenario that we see an earlier finish in this fight. I think that these two dudes are going to come out and they're going to be swinging heavy shots at each other. And I think that Alex Morono is actually more likely to get the finish here, but it can go either way. And I'm liking the under, which you can catch at plus 150, the under 1.5 rounds on this fight here. I think there's some value on that line. Take a look at that. I think that these guys clash and we see a knockout. Speaking of Phil Rowe, he's taking on Jake Matthews here, taking place in the welterweight division. I see as something that I kind of like for this fight. As I mentioned in the full card prediction video, this is a fight that I think most likely goes to a decision. I do feel that that's the case. And as we take a look at the over under on the 2.5 rounds, you can get the over 2.5 right now at minus 140, which I really don't believe is that bad of a line. I have a feeling that this fight is going to go 3 rounds. They're going to do a little bit of a tit for tat type of affair. Neither man really has the best fight ending abilities in their arsenal. I know Jake Matthews, when he does show up, or I shouldn't say when he does show up, but when he did show up against Andre Fiallo that one time, looked like an absolute showstopper. But all in all, that's not really what we've seen from Matthews throughout the years. First off, the Darius Flowers submission, not really looking too much into that. I don't really believe Darius Flowers is a UFC caliber fighter. Knocked out Andre Fiallo, like I said, but other than that, going to decisions against Matthew Semmelsberger, being on the losing end of the stick against Semmelsberger and Michael Morales. Take a look at his victories before that, going to decisions with Emil Meek, Diego Sanchez, Rustim Akman. All right, so he hasn't been the biggest fight finisher. The Bojan Volkovich fight, the Li Jingliang fight. He's been, for the most part, a decision type of fighter. Also, Matthews has been decently durable. I know he's been finished a couple times, but all in all, he's a type of dude that, with his footwork and whatnot, he could avoid being landed on big. He's only been knocked out once. I don't really see Phil Rowe submitting him. Phil Rowe has some submission skills, but I think Matthews is able to keep this fight standing for the most part. They slop around in the clinch a little bit. Phil Rowe is essentially a fight finisher. He's actually never went to a decision in a fight that he's won. But I think that he probably comes up a little bit short going to decision. He's gone to 3 decision losses before. I don't think he finds that finish. And I think this fight goes to the final bell. And that's why I don't think that minus 140 line is that bad of a line, just because the more I've been diving into the fight, I see that being a fight where the pace is kind of slowed down and we see it go to a decision. Just the more I dive into that fight, it's just something about it screams decision victory to me. And even if Phil Rowe was able to get his first decision victory, that's something that could happen too. I know he's never had one yet, but that could happen if he slightly out volumes Matthews, maybe lands some of the more crisp strikes, but I don't see him getting Matthews out of there. I like the over on that fight. I like the over has been kind of calling out to me there.
This video is brought to you by BETUS Sportsbook and Casino.
And I'll leave you guys with this, the headliner of the preliminaries. I want to target one more over-under on this fight. This is a very exciting fight between Roman Kopylov and Cesar Almeida. Think this fight should take place in the feet for the most part, unless Roman looks to change levels a little bit and try to test Cesar down there. But I think these fighters are going to be throwing heat, and I think somebody is going to get hit with the big shot, and we're going to see some damage done in this fight. And I'm liking the under on this fight. I am liking the under, which you can catch right now at minus 125. I think that, as you guys know, I'm on the Kopylov side of things. I think that Kopylov is going to be the fighter that really lands some damaging strikes in this fight. He's coming off a tough loss, but let's not completely turn our back on Kopylov. Kopylov is a fighter that's been going out throughout the last couple of years, really landing some damaging shots in his opposition. He's the more complete mixed martial artist. He may even land some damage down in the mat against Almeida. Maybe he tests him down there as well. Almeida is a polished striker, and maybe he has success in this fight. Kopylov just got finished in his last fight. Sometimes he takes damage as well. And I like the under 2.5 rounds. I think that this is one of the fights on the card where they clash. The way that these two guys fight when they're in there, you break down tape on these guys, this is the type of fight where you see them clashing and someone possibly breaks down and we see a finish in this fight. So at -125, I lean that way. I think there's some value there. All right, guys, we'll leave you with that. Just wanted to throw some more prop bets your guys' way for the preliminary cards. I'm very excited for this event. Please like this video, subscribe to the channel if you're new here. You guys can expect all types of MMA content coming your guys' way, specifically in regards to betting on the sport. And I appreciate your guys' support. Make sure you follow me on social media too. I got a lot of cool content coming your guys' way. I'm on Instagram at MMAFortuneTeller_. I'm on Twitter at the MMA Teller, and I'm almost at 10K followers on IG. Could really use you guys' support there. And if you want to work with me for my official plays, the ones we're going to be hammering in on, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can hit me up on email or through any of the social media platforms. Shoot me a message. I'll give you guys some further details. I appreciate you guys. Signing out. Teller.
Welcome to the show. This is the MMA Fortune Teller. Yeah.
The MMA Fortune Teller.
The teller.